All right, so the next several episodes we're doing is about prominent families, right? We're going from the Markoes, Crequi, Heiliger, James, Nelthrops, Armstrong, Skiocks, Schusters, the Shaberts. And if I'm missing anybody, comment down below, man. That we get this done. But first, we're going to start off with the Markoes family. Yeah, I'm sure you guys know Claude O Markoe, but we're going back all the way to 1685. Yeah, that's how long they've been here. To Pierre Marcou. Yeah, the Markoe changed from French to then from a C to a K when the Danish took over. Anyways, let me check this out. Irie. So, now, according to the Danish National Archives and the family's papers held by the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, the lineage begins with Pierre Marcou, a native from Montbellard, France. Now, he was fleeing persecution right around 1684-85, right? The king had put a law trying to eradicate Protestants, right? People who were non-Catholic. Now, he wasn't coming alone. He was joined by Count Crequi. You know, Crequi Dam and that kind of stuff, allegedly. But anyways, we're talking about Markoe. Now, according also to the Ramsey County Historical Society, the archives tell that their crossing was horrible. Apparently, they crossed when a hurricane come, so all the vessels that was with them, only 2 made it, including Markoe on one and Crequi was on another one. He made it to St. Croix, right? And he didn't come here to work. He come here to lead. He come in a time in which it was limbo because, again, he's fleeing persecution from France, right, when they're trying to eradicate Protestants. But he come into St. Croix, and St. Croix is owned by the French around that time. We weren't owned by the Danes until 1733. So why was he running away from prosecution for being a Protestant when in here, in St. Croix, we had the same thing, you know, Protestant K? Yeah, we did a video on that. That's where people here at that time and era, if you was a non-Catholic, you'll just get thrown over there. You won't get no burial, no nothing. If you need to learn more, check out one of our videos. But anyways, so I was curious because if he flee in that and he come in here, the law is the same. Apparently, around this time in 1685, when Markoe came to St. Croix, the French rule here were already given up on the island. What I mean by this is like the plantation, everything that was being used here was being transferred over to Haiti, most of it. And around 10 years after Mr. Markoe came here, they all dipped. Most of them dipped to Haiti, as Haiti to them made a lot more money. Now, he had a son called Abraham Markoe, right? He was born in 1727, and that mixed between the French done gave up and we are about to sell it to the Danes. It was no man's land on St. Croix. Mr. Markoe left St. Croix. Abraham Markoe, the son, left St. Croix wealthy. The estates were still running by family members like Isaac Markoe. He was still running estate prosperity. And Mr. Markoe himself, when he left, had a son called Markoe Jr., who also joined the family after and helped continue the works down here in the plantation. In 1770, Abraham Markoe moves to Philadelphia. And here is where he founded the Philadelphia Light Horse in November 1774. This was the first voluntary military unit in the colonies. Now, according to the unit's record, he equipped all original 28 troops at his own expense. But you know what? Gotta fix that script wherever I write that one down because it's not at his own expense. It was at the expense of the slaves that they owned in St. Croix. Irie, so we need to correct that, whoever wrote that. And to add to the fact, they actually owned 113 enslaved Africans at that time. So yeah, this generous guy just did 28 troops and at his own expense. No, it was at the expense of African slaves. So I need to fix that. Anyways, now we fast forward to 1775 and the Markoe standard is developed. Now you're going to be like, what is this? It is widely recognized as the first time that the use of 13 stripes was put in a flag to represent the 13 colonies in that era. It had other flags, but why was this so important? It is said, right, that George Washington, on his way over, crossing Philadelphia, this militia, run by Markoe, escorted him over, and is when George Washington first saw the stripes, the 13 stripes, recognizing all the colonies united on a flag. This flag was held with him while the cavalry escorted George Washington across Philly. That's what it said. Now, he couldn't stay there too long. Mr. Abraham Markoe, the King Christian of Denmark, sent a neutrality statement, basically stating that if Abraham gonna fight the fight in the States, they're gonna take all his land over here in St. Croix. So he stopped. Now, remember his son, Abraham Markoe Jr.? Well, apparently, he challenged someone to a duel in 1824. Yeah, duels in St. Croix. And he challenged Baron Lucas de Bertrand. And unfortunately, Mr. Markoe Jr. died. Now we're going to fast forward to everything to the 20th century, to the name that we all know, Claude O Markoe. He was born in 1900, still around 1985. And he was an educator for the Virgin Islands, right? According to even inducted into the Virgin Islands Hall of Fame. And it is said that on May 22nd, 1952, to honor his high expectations for the youths on the island, we named the school after him, Claude O Markoe. Now, their history is kind of shady. They can't forget that, yes, they made fortunes, but they made fortunes off of slaves. Now, Mr. Claude O Markoe educated all of us, but we can't forget the history. Hey, check on the next one, eh? Y'all be safe.